All right, people. So we're about 15 minutes in.
Yep. George loved shooting this scene. We had a rain machine. We made the rain machine from scratch. It was really janky and kind of falling apart, but we managed to achieve this aesthetic here. And George was immediately like, "Oh, I love it. It's so dramatic." And he's like, "It's like Shakespearean. It's like Brando."
Yeah.
Like, and he just like disappeared into this scene. He loved doing this.
I think at first when we were shooting, he wasn't completely sure of us because he came in from New York City. We were shooting in Syracuse, which is 3.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's a bunch of kids, I'll trust them, but who knows? And once we did this scene with the rain, he was like, "This is so Citizen Kane." And
He said, "This is
like,
so Citizen Kane."
Went into character. Someone asked, wait, before he was Blind Cop's name Good Cop? That's a good question. So his name's Blind Cop. It's just, that's his name, and that's what everyone calls him. George actually has a name for the character that he developed, and he won't tell anyone what it is. So
that's part of that's part of the mystery. I mean, presumably we know he had a government issued name because before he became Blind Cop, through the Vietnam incident, presumably he had a normal name, but we'll never know what it is because George won't tell us.
Which, you know what, we like that.
It adds to the mystique for sure.
Another great music moment that the composer did. Yeah. I love that music. Very emotional.
True. Another
work out of Syracuse. Yeah, I
mean, Jason
Syracuse.
Voorhees shot right there.
Yeah, that's our Jason Voorhees shot. Yeah, I grew up in Syracuse, and I shot most of the movie there. You might recognize some locations. What was great about Syracuse was no one shoots movies there, so we could kind of do whatever we want. Hence why we were able to do this movie for no budget and shoot it super illegally. And even though we had the real cops called on us maybe like 9 or 10 times, they were always like, "Wait, you're doing a movie? Oh, yeah. It's a cop movie? Oh, okay, yeah, do what you want." So that was awesome.
We managed to get away with a lot of things in Syracuse that we would have never gotten away with in like Savannah, New York, Atlanta, LA. I mean, we would have definitely gotten some charges. But in Syracuse, they were just overjoyed that someone was making a movie in the city that they just never cared.
So this day was insane. So we actually showed up to a different location to shoot this rooftop scene. Didn't have permission, and we got kicked out immediately. And it was kind of a low moment for one of our first couple weeks on set. And I was a bit worried. But then just randomly, we're on top of like a parking deck. The security guard's like, "You gotta leave. We're getting ready to leave." This car pulls up. This dude comes out with these like blue snakeskin boots. I'll never forget it. He comes up to us. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "We're shooting. We're trying to do this rooftop scene. We just got kicked out." And he's like, "Rooftop scene? I got a rooftop. You guys want to come to my apartment?" And we were so desperate. We're like, "Of course. Yeah." So that's how we shot this scene as quick as we could at this guy's rooftop. By the way, he just dropped somebody off a roof, so that's a drink.
Yeah. Would say that whole scene's a lot.
Asking for time codes. Yeah, ask for time codes. You need to sync up. We're about 18 and a half minutes in, closing in on 19 minutes. Is that illegal? Technically, what, him dropping someone off the roof? It's kind of illegal.
I would say it's pretty legal. I think
shooting on a rooftop illegal? Yeah, it's kind of illegal. But it was a private rooftop, so yeah.
Yeah, well, we didn't actually drop anyone off the roof. That's all fictional, so that's good. As far as the cops,
it's frowned upon, but in Syracuse, it's celebrated. So Blind Cop drink, so I'm gonna do another drink. By the way, the longer the movie goes, the more lubed up we'll be. So,
sure.
Feel free to ask some crazy questions, I guess.
Try. We'll try to be as succinct and articulate as possible. But maybe after Blind Cop keeps doing more illegal things and crying, I might not be quite as articulate.
Do we do a drink? Do we have to drink when we learn the filmmakers did or attempt to do something illegal? Yes, Candy. I think we should. That would be.
Oh no, that's a dangerous game. I think if we keep talking about how we got over this stuff.
It's like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
Just exponentially gets worse. I mean, I'm trying to pace myself. I'm sipping on beers. I'm actually doing hard kombuchas. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm pacing myself. That's good.
Okay, Blind Cop threw up on somebody. Technically not illegal.
Yeah,
I'll drink some water for that.
it had an impressive amount of like kind of projectile like momentum, like force. It was almost like assaulting someone, but we'll say for now. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
we only
so
had one take to do that. Obviously, it was practical. We just had a tube attached to George's face, and that's the thing with this movie. Like, we just love practical effects of the '80s, and we want to try to emulate that in the indie front as much as we could, and we tried our best.
yeah. So we literally had a pressurized tube running up his body, attached to the side of his face, and just launched all that vomit.
Oh, Candy's got the chat whiskey. Yeah, I was thinking about breaking that out, but that seems dangerous.
At the same time, I don't know about the chat whiskey. Oh, of course, classic. So these two guys here are two of our closest friends, and they're two of our main producers here. And
Yes.
they weren't originally going to play the role. We were trying to cast some other people, but then they were doing it, and they were genuinely really funny and had great chemistry, and they got really excited about it. And they're like, "No, we want to do it." And they were like, "Let us kind of do our thing." It was such a fun
Yeah,
scene
they actually
to shoot.
killed it.
Yeah,
The infamous pissing scene. Some people love it, some people hate it.
it's a very polarizing scene. I don't think that's a bad
some
thing.
people's favorite scene, some people's worst favorite, or least favorite.
Yeah.
Good thing they had such big bladders.
They pissed on him for like 2.5 straight minutes, man.
And if you notice, very clear pee, so they're very hydrated. So good for them.
That is true. Good for them.
Just walking home late at night with my milk. That's what Schmitty does,
Well, yeah, my headcanon was that I was coming back from the grocery store. I mean, he drives everywhere. He has that nice car, but he was trying to get his exercise, get his steps in. So I got to get my milk, got to get my vegetables, got to have a clean diet because he wants to be a cop. He wants to be like Blanca. I got to eat my groceries.
Do you want to talk about this fit at all, Isaac?
This outfit? Yeah, I mean, I think when we were looking at things, obviously leaning into Schmitty's kind of like childlike naivety was something we discussed, and I think we were going through different options. Obviously, it was low budget, so we had to cycle stuff, get stuff from thrift stores, whatever. And I specifically remember when we chose that outfit combination, I got in it and looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, "This is it. Like, this is hilarious." And one of the most iconic Schmitty looks for sure.
One other little Easter egg too. There's a shot of the room with the teddy bear on the couch. There's a comic book on the couch, and that comic book is a RoboCop 2 comic book, and RoboCop was one of our biggest influences. So that's a fun little one. And that teddy bear is actually a teddy bear that's like an antique that my grandpa made years ago. So my grandpa made that and decided to throw it in the scene.
Very cool.
There's a lot of little antiques. My family kind of has like a side hobby of collecting antiques, so I decided to throw some of that stuff in there. There's also, if you notice behind Blind Cop, there's a She Kills poster, and that's actually a movie that my uncle Ron Bonk did. So he does very low budget B movies, and I kind of got my start interning on his sets, which are pretty exploitative, messed up movies with like super low budgets. But it was a good experience, to learn how to make something super cheap.
He's got a lot of good advice. Very, very clever, low budget filmmaker, very crafty.
And he let us borrow a lot of his equipment. So shout out to Ron Bonk.
Shouts out to Ron Bonk for sure. I'll drink to that.
Blind Cop drinks.
Blind Cop drinks. We only drink when he drinks alcohol, or does it count when he drinks milk? Because he drinks a good amount of milk in this film too.
Oh yeah, we just said drink, dude.
That's drink. We got to commit. We can't go back on it. I think it's every time he takes a drink of anything at this point.
Vomit acting is a lost art. Actually, that scene where George is vomiting in the toilet, a lot of that is his real vomit.
Yeah, so part of that is real. he was really working himself up, and when I remember that because when I was in that scene rubbing on his back, I started to realize some of that gagging doesn't seem manufactured, and I was like, oh, he's just for real going for
So I hope a lot of you have seen the movie before, because we're probably ruining it by just talking over it. Yeah. But
if you haven't seen the movie, just mute us, please, God. Just mute us.
Yeah.
Mute us, but beyond mute us, yeah.
Mute us, and then, I don't know, maybe bring us on your podcast or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
See a little join the force poster.
The Vietnam scene, man.
Here comes Vietnam.
Yeah. It's crazy that this is actually a location that we got in Atlanta, because it really does look very Vietnam.
So we're about 25 minutes in. We're having this Vietnam flashback. This is where we wanted to introduce a little bit of the story of Blind Cop and just show a little bit of what made this person into who he was. And a lot of this was actually, we shot some of it. We didn't really 100% know we were going to do it first. And we came back and shot a bunch more last August when it was really just me and George out in the jungle. And a lot of this was kind of brought on by George's his inspiration to do a lot of this Vietnam stuff because he thought it'd be so cool. We never really see this behind the scenes origin of these.
Well, he feels a very personal connection to kind of the story of the Vietnam War and the soldiers. So this was something he had really been kind of almost begging us to do for a while, was to kind of get lost in this Vietnam scene here. And he was really on the same page as us when it came to kind of like, let's kind of tease out this character's origin. Let's see a flash into kind of the person he was before he was like this permanently sunglasses wearing killing machine. Like, who is this young man? Just part of why he, you know, when you take away the sunglasses and shave his face, he looks like a completely different person. He's like almost unrecognizable. Crazy.
And little behind the scenes stuff about this. Yeah, so this is in Atlanta. This is the not the Chattahoochee, it's the Chattanooga River. It's a place called the Bamboo Forest Public Park that we went and shot all this stuff. And actually, it was going to be a bigger scene. We're going to have actors and extras and soldiers. But 3 days before we shot, George was cutting bamboo, and he sliced his foot open. We had to bring him to the hospital. We were there all night, and they had to sew his foot shut. So I had to cancel the shoot, and we were a little depressed, and it was like, game over. What are we going to do? And then 3 days passed, and George was like, fuck it. Let's just go out there. So me and him hiked out there, 3 miles of hiking, carrying 70 pounds of equipment with his sewed-up foot. And we shot all that stuff. So kudos to George.
Kudos to George. Very blind cop.
Very blind cop, dude.
Very blind cop.
The class. So you see the little nude scene with George on the log. So since it was a public park, literally it's like 2 feet frame left, 2 feet frame right. There's just people tubing, watching this guy like nude on a log. I really like this scene. The PB&J scene.
Yeah.
King I like George, that's right.
It is tonally from the Vietnam scene. I like that it kind of changes to something so sort of like mundane and conversational between them. But there's some kind of fun like character comedy here. I love that Blind Cop it's you know, it's a funny moment when he snatches the PB&J, but I feel like it's also kind of a bit of foreshadowing and insight that he is this very selfish person that just kind of thinks about his own interests. So it's like funny. I like that.
He's on his vendetta. And I remember in the script we literally wrote, he doesn't know at first what to do, and he takes a bite out of the PB&J, and it says, the PB&J gets Blind Cop's brain juices going. And I thought that was a fun little line, you know? And I thought I thought George sold that well.
The portion
so let's see. So we are about 28 minutes and 20 seconds in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we played a lot. You're right. You bring up the milk. There's a lot of milk in this movie, and milk almost gives him a little bit of a special edge over his enemies. We feel, gives him the extra protein and vitamins he needs to heal up quickly.
Because he kept drinking milk, we played around with the idea that maybe, that him drinking milk had a direct, sort of relationship with his powers, with his super strength. That was
exactly like Popeye and his spinach, what we had 2 people mention. Yes.
Blind Cop and
his milk, dude. He loves his milk.
Right.
Schmitty, I need some milk.
I love
the shot here of Schmitty, with his
binoculars. I love the binoculars.
Glasses. It's a fun little image.
Yeah. And then, of course, obviously this shot when he's looking at all these people on the street. Of course, not actors. That's just what Syracuse looks like. Just random.
No, they were definitely actors.
No, they're definitely actors.
Inspired by real life.
Yeah. Oh, Frank. This guy's great.
Yeah, so Frank the Male Hooker, man, played by David. This guy's incredible. Really funny, cool guy. He just plays the most fucked up roles in movies. And he's just like a loving father with a family. And he just flew himself in because he wanted to work on this. So, but he came out here and blew us away, man. His performance is incredible.
Yeah, he was a joy to work with. He was so just like receptive, wanted to figure it out. I also love the lighting here. Just makes him look like the fucking devil himself. It's like
it really does.
Very classic,
So much vomit. You're right. We should have added that to the drink list.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Vomit could have been on there.
Does driving blind count as a legal activity? Do we drink to that?
It's technically illegal for him to be driving. He's legally blind. He can't drive. He can't operate a motor vehicle. It is illegal for him to do it.
I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
Let's see. We're only 30 minutes in. I mean, I'm only on beer too, so we're good. We're doing.
Oh, we're beyond fine. We're totally fine.
Yeah, I love how the scene looks.
Yeah, this was a really fun scene to perform as well. All the scenes that take place in the car, so great. It's just great to be in that. Oh, that's illegal. He's threatening him. He's threatening him with.
He's threatening somebody.
That's most definitely a drink.
Maybe you should try carrots. Okay, we're putting that in the next movie. He has a little carrot eating montage.
Of course.
I mean, here's the thing. It almost doesn't matter for Blind Cop that he's blind because all his other abilities are so enhanced that he's almost better than.
Well, I feel like even more so than that, we thought of that really early on. We were like, we don't want to do blind jokes, right? Like it's tired and lazy and rude and kind of mean. They just be like, oh, it's funny. He's blind. He walks into stuff. And we're like, that's the easy version of this movie, right? To us, it was almost funnier if his blindness doesn't matter. Like he kind of just. It's almost like that. Like his blindness is just like almost secondary. It's like he's this badass super cop, and yeah, he is blind, but people almost just treat him like it doesn't matter. He's got special abilities. He drives. He shoots people. Whatever. I think that's far more original and interesting than
he succeeds in spite of this.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
So people who just joined, we're about 32 minutes in.
Yes. It's another one of my favorite scenes.
So these were some fun scenes to do. I'll do some fun facts about this. So we literally towed a car on open roads to do this because we were so young. We didn't know there was another way to do this. We didn't realize about the process trailer, and we didn't thought that would work. So
poor man's.
I remember, and this is actually in the background. That's actually my high school and middle school. It has a little loop, and we just kept looping around that at like midnight. And I remember a cop actually drove by and just like watched us and then kept going. So this stuff was just so fun to shoot and a little dangerous. You can see some scenes later where cars are literally going around us. And one of these scenes at the end is when a cop actually pulled us over and was like, "What are you guys doing? You can't do this." And we're like, "Oh, we're shooting a movie. Sorry, we're students." They're like, "Oh, okay. Do you guys want some flares?" And that's when they gave us
She gave us a bag of road flares and let us keep going. Yeah. Because, of course, the classic line was not only that we're making a movie, they go, "Oh, what kind of movie are you making?" We'd go, It's a cop movie. And we would just stop it right there.
A cop movie. What's the title?
Cool Cop 2. We shot this scene literally in like the basement of like your mom's house.
Yeah, so part of it was this like burnt down building and the shots of this is where we learned that like for coverage, we can sometimes shoot shots in different locations and it works. So shot of Frank is in my mom's basement.
Yeah. Very funny, actually.
See, Scott Rice said, "Yes, I love that this is obviously a takeoff 80s action movies, but you actually made an honest-to-God 80s action movie that you could have picked off the shelf at the local video store." Thanks for saying that, Scott. And that's exactly what we were trying to do is like, what's a movie if we're walking in Walmart that we'll see and we'll be like, what is this? Like, it will make you stop and go and take a second look at this. So we did try, it is obviously a parody on these movies we loved and a satire, but we did actually try to do what we could to make our version of a Hollywood movie.
Yeah. Well, because, obviously, it is satire and it is a criticism of some of the, the more toxic elements of these films. But, I mean, we love them fully. I mean, we love these films deeply. And obviously, we wouldn't have committed so much time and resources and blood, sweat, and tears to making something like this if we didn't love these movies dearly. So it's also, a love letter, of course. We try to make it as authentic as possible because these films matter a lot to us.
And personally, we love indies. Like we love indie movies and we love 80s like movies with practical effects and we want to do our version of that. And we learned the hard way that we realize why most people don't make indie action movies with practical effects, because it might take you 5 years, but that's all right. And you might be in debt your whole time, but that's cool. You know, you get to go to Chattanooga Film Fest, and I get to watch it with you guys. So that's very fun.
We're really proud of how this scene looks. I think our biggest visual inspiration, we were talking with Augie, was the club scene in Terminator 1.
Yes.
Yeah, when we were talking lighting and
also, one thing is I do wish we shot a little more slow-mo in the scene, but it all worked out. And this set was really interesting. It was one of my uncle's friends owned a bar.
Multiple drinking.
And we got a drink. One of my uncle's friends owned a bar, and he said we could use it. The only issue was the bar burned down 2 years ago, so there's no powers and there's soot everywhere. Mm-hmm. So we came to this bar, and I have photos on our website. If you go to our press page and go to our BTS, you can see photos of us cleaning this bar up. And so we did that for a couple of days.
There's a great picture of me in there with like a surgical mask, and I'm like scrubbing like black mold off of some like cinder blocks.
We definitely got some permanent diseases there, but it was worth it
for sure.
Soaks up all the vomit.
Thanks again. Another drink there. I'm sorry, I just wanted to point it out. I'm not letting you get away.
Another drink. Good point. Well, actually, and that's what's cool is like sometimes the negatives become positives. What was good about this thing being burnt down and no power is we had free reign. We could get blood everywhere. We could literally smash into walls and break shit. So that was great while we were doing that. So I was really happy how that turned out. Also, all the extras we literally got them that night. We threw we put a bunch of messages on Facebook and just got a bunch of boomers in there.
Yeah, well, a few of them were actually off the street. Like some of them we got through online, and then some of them were people walking by that we basically were able to get in there.
I remember one fun piece of direction I threw when we were trying to get them to dance that everyone seemed to like is I was like, all right, everybody, you're dancing, you're in the 80s, and you love Coke. Let's go. And everyone really loved that line. So it worked out. Mm-hmm. So we're about 37 minutes in.
Mm-hmm. And also that prop, the vinyl record player there, the jukebox, so cool. That was definitely something we were really lucky to get. That adds a lot of yeah.
Someone was putting time codes in the chat. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Here comes one of our first fight scenes.
Yep. Had to go into the jukebox, of course.
Jukebox, yeah, that was actually a little cameo by me flying in the jukebox.
Well done, I must say.
I remember I fucked up my leg doing that, but it was.
We also actually that shot where he gets hit into the panel on the wall there. We actually took that panel off the wall there, shooting that scene on it. So, yeah.
Whoop. Boom, and there's the arm break.
There you go.
That's illegal. Yeah. I'm gonna drink.
Well, I mean, this whole scene, I'm gonna have to drink multiple times that's a lot of. Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of carnage. Everyone, take a couple sips. So that one shot of the arm break, which is literally like 3 seconds, I think it took us 3 to 4 hours to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for saying it was a great arm break. Someone in the chat said that. I actually like one of the big influences for that was a shot from Brawl in Cell Block 99 where he breaks the dude's arm. And I remember that was so effective. I was like, it'd be cool to do that in an action movie. A little bit of the wider, clunkier practical effects damage stuff. So this was I don't know, how do we even talk about this scene, Isaac? I wouldn't say this was a low point in the shoot, but we were just like literally on fumes, and this was like we were going insane.
We were definitely very exhausted and low on resources, and we really had to try to make this work. Everyone was tired. It was the upstairs of that place was musty and hot and awful.
This and is trying the club to get that burnt down. So it's like it's all like lead paint, and like we were all exhausted and cranky
And also because Froglips was covered in body paint, every time I did the scene, his body paint kept rubbing off on the fucking walls. So we were like, oh my god.
But we persisted. But this scene turned out so weird. It's like a fucking David Lynch scene or some shit.
It's very peculiar.
It's just like a nightmare.
I love this non-verbal acknowledgement that he's a criminal. The dummy. We knew we wanted to throw a dummy. Yeah.
We needed a dummy in here. I honestly wish we used it more, but maybe it worked out well. But yeah, he literally lands head first, but survives. He's blind cop.
He's a super cop. And then, of course, he has to pull this like 2 foot long shard of glass out of his shoulder blade.
So the young cop right there, that's Roberto Bishop. He's actually our stunt coordinator. So he's the one almost all the stunts in the movie are done by him.
He's the one that just got his arm broken 4 minutes ago. That's also Roberto. Yeah, he's.
I think he tallied it up. He has the most deaths in the movie, maybe like 8 deaths.
Yeah, he died.
Blind Cop ran away. Blind Cop just ran away from a cop, and I think that's illegal.
I'm gonna have to say it's pretty legal. He also did just knock a homeless person out of the way. Destruction of property for the window. A few sips.
So this Western scene, obviously a little important thing to the ethos of the characters. The only good criminal is a dead criminal. That was shot in Central Park in New York City. So we actually shot it illegally in Central Park, even though you can shoot whatever you want in New York City. The only thing that was kind of illegal is we had a prop gun, and you can't have guns at all in New York. So we just had one shot real quick. We whipped out the gun, threw it away.
As silly as it is, though, it is a really important scene for the story, and especially for Schmitty, because to me this is kind of driving home the idea that he is this young man that is so influenced by the movies he's watching, the people he's seeing on TV and in posters, and you can see his sort of idealization of like violence, vigilantism, and people kind of deciding they can hurt or kill other people if they're the good guy. So I feel like it was a really important scene. Also, that was real when he breaks that shelf there. That was actually his friend's shelf that he was letting us use, and George leaned on it too hard and just fucking broke it. That was completely real.
Yeah, and he was fine, but we decided to roll with it. Like that was the thing with this movie is a lot of things that might be taken as mistakes would happen, and we would just try to lean into them and try to put that as part of the uniqueness. And that's what's fun about making indie movies, man. Is sometimes you have a mistake and it can turn out to be a blessing in disguise. So that was a cool little moment that we played into. And there's some of those later. So, but I had to pay my roommate, or my now roommate, but my buddy who let us borrow his apartment. I had to pay him like $60 to replace that shelf, but it was worth it.
Right. Made for a great take. People seem to like that shot. That's nice.
Candy's drinking. What are you drinking, Candy? Belgian style dark ale. I love it.
Very nice, very nice.
I got my June Shine as a hard kombucha.
I'm just drinking. I'm drinking Corona Extra.
Corona.
That's right.
So we're about 42 minutes and 30 seconds in.
That you live in it. We obviously do that a lot with the car. I mean, basically all these shots in the car are these long takes of just me and George kind of living in these scenes together, going back and forth. And we did some of that stuff earlier on, and I felt like that really helped us develop kind of the chemistry, the relationship, and the dynamic of these two characters. We both really loved shooting the car stuff. So. Very nice.
Car stuff was one of my favorite moments. I was literally, so for these car scenes, I'm laying in the back seat with the mic on a little pistol stand going back and forth. And it was such an intimate moment. I just had a little monitor with me. And we would just keep running. We'd keep the camera running and we'd go for 50 minutes. And it was some of my favorite moments on set. By the way, Blind Cop split some lanes while he's driving. That's not okay. That's kind of illegal.
That's a traffic violation, guys. I really hope you guys make sure you don't do that. That's really fucked up. I mean, messed up. Sorry, F word,
This is a kid's movie. Great for the family.
That's right. This is a family movie.
So I think this scene's all ADR, which is cool.
Yeah.
We since we did it live, since we're actually towing the car, you can hear everything rattling and shit. So we had to do ADR, and you and George did an incredible job matching this stuff. So
yeah, that was actually really fun.
Great
That was
sound designer.
Yeah, that was my first time doing ADR in that capacity. Like really just redoing lines. We went to Parabolic Studio in New York. They are fantastic. They actually were the same studio that did the sound for Hereditary, Greatest Showman. They have a really great list. But we had to go into that studio, and a lot of the things you hear, the screams, the background noises, and some of the lines that are crisper, that's all ADR stuff that we did. And it was really, really great opportunity for us to do that.
And my personal philosophy is like sound is 50%, if not more, of what makes a good movie. So that was a big thing, and actually took us a while because we're self-funding it. We don't have a lot of money, and luckily we met a lot of people through college, so we're able to have these connections and do things for a lot cheaper than a normal movie. So that took a lot longer while we were submitting. So a lot of our early submissions, we had like dog shit sound, which didn't help. So luckily when we submitted to Chattanooga, I think we had some decent sound. So that probably helped us out a little bit.
At this point, working on it now, we're very proud of the sound, but it was a long process. It definitely didn't start out sounding great.
And I still feel like we could do more sound, but depends on how much we want to keep working on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised how long it's been since Blind Cop's done something illegal. So
no, he's done it a good amount. I'm trying to pace myself because I know exactly where how it's going to end up if we keep going. Ah, yes.
Someone suggested a Wolf Cop, Blind Cop team up. What's funny is we've heard this like 3 times.
I was going to say that's come up at multiple Q&As.
And we actually, in the original script, we had a after the credits scene with a werewolf, which was so stupid because it's like, wait, this is more expensive than the whole movie. So it would be funny. I mean, we try to stick to a little more. We try to stick to a little more naturalistic or like real world in a way. We could have gone a little more fantastic if we had more resources, but
of course it's obviously very goofy, but it's like elevated real world with like mutants. It's almost more Escape New York than it is like monsters and vampires. But I think those things could maybe fit in there, potentially.
I remember on set shooting this, and this was this is my aunt and uncle's house, and I remember this is one of the first scenes you did as Schmitty, Isaac, and I just remember laughing my ass off behind camera doing this.
Well, this was one of my favorite scenes to shoot, and it was nice to ease into it because I felt good about it because when I was performing it, the 2 guys playing the racist cops kept laughing, and I was like, okay, good. I guess I'm selling this. Yeah, really, really fun scene to perform.
And this was actually originally kind of a different scene, and then Isaac, you kind of helped us rewrite it. So
yeah. Well, this scene is having something I'm really happy with because it's obviously it ventures into some kind of risky territory, but I think that obviously people get it, and it's been a really fun scene to shoot and perform.
Looks like Scott Rice is drinking some whiskey.
Oh,
such a smart cut! Thank you. Yeah, we tried to do. How can you get a joke through editing?
Yeah.
We're about 48 minutes in, by the way, people.
And it was the funniest way to play that was if you don't hear what he says. It's better to infer.
This is where we start to see a little more of Schmitty. I remember having fun writing this little monologue for Schmitty about his time in the orphanage. Fun little character moment. And we start to introduce that he likes picking locks.
Yep. Also, the introduction of the paperclip. Which comes around multiple other times in crucial moments. It's the first paperclip moment.
So you see that TV's all fucked up. It was weird when we turned that TV on its side. It's actually the same model of TV they used for the movie Poltergeist. When we turned it on the side, it had this weird red and blue like glow going on. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. So Blind Cop just he's just a massive drunk. He's got bottles everywhere in his house. So
someone was pointing out to me recently when they were talking about the production design of our movie, and they were saying, I think it's interesting that the main decision you guys made for Blind Cop's house was just that there's fucking bottles everywhere. And we actually designed those bottles ourselves, of course, because we didn't want to breach any copyright. So I remember one of you guys designed the logo for that and got those,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Noah joined. So Noah is actually in the movie. He's in the Noah Townsend.
He's in there multiple times.
He's in multiple times. His big moment's in the grocery store scene, but he comes into play later. He was actually, I grew up with Noah. We met in 2nd grade. He was in my Blind Cop 1 I shot in high school / middle school. And he was in the pitch trailer we shot to get Kickstarter money. So shout out to Noah. Everyone drink for Noah.
Yeah, shout out to Noah, the original Blind Cop. Come on.
Schmitty gives me Paul Soder from Super Troopers vibes. I gotta watch that movie. I thought you were gonna say Starship Troopers, and I was about to say it's the biggest compliment we've ever received. But Super
Super
Troopers
Troopers
works.
is also it's kind of parallel. I can see that. That's really funny.
I really love how this framing turned out with you and Blind Cop. There's like a
Well, I like that it's actually
diagonal
kind of a bit of
line,
a tender
a little
moment.
triangle.
It's one of the first times that he kind of offers some support to Blind Cop, and Blind Cop is kind of a little more receptive, and then is like, no, we got to get out of here. Also, I think it's funny that, of course, Schmitty distracted these cops and sent them after people that don't exist down the street, and then Blind Cop and Schmitty are just in here for like 7 fucking minutes.
They
and
never come back. They're just like searching forever.
Yeah, we always thought that kind of played its own way.
Hello, that looks like Noah joined.
Noah joining.
No.
Noah
up,
cameo.
buddy?
What's up, man?
I was not expecting to get the shout out.
Oh, we got to
Shout out
shout
to
you
Noah.
out. Come on, man.
Oh, get out of here.
Any fun little tidbits from set you think would be cool to hear for people that have joined?
Did you tell them about the schedule that we had at the end of the shoot in the school?
With how insane it was, like all nights. Yeah, so that was August. I mean, we'll get there. I'm gonna save that for that. One quick thing you see,
point, though.
you might want to talk about this, Isaac. You falling out of the car.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to mention really quickly. Yeah, that scene there where to me it looks like I'm about to fall out of the car. That was also real. George took off a little too quickly when I was hopping into the car, and I actually just almost fell out. That wasn't like me doing like a Buster Keaton comical physical gag. That was me trying to not fall out and hit the street. Just a fun fact. Sorry to interrupt.
So Dustin asked, "Did you guys fuck up a CRT to get the magnetic field to get all pinky?" Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. I think my dad
yes,
just ended up throwing that out too, unfortunately. I love how this scene looked. Also, this scene hits me in the gut every time, dude.
Yeah.
This is some of your best acting by far.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. I really love performing the scene. Like I felt it. I really, really felt it in that moment. I'm really proud of it. I love the way the scene turned out. I mean, George is an incredible person to work with. Like, we had developed our chemistry so much, and obviously it's a very funny movie. It's got plenty of absurdism, and ultimately it's a satire, but me and George played the drama very, very real and close to the heart. Every moment where I'm teared up or I'm screaming or upset, that's all, very, very real to me. I'm in a very real emotional place. But of course, half the time it's played for comedy. But it was definitely an exercise in drama, as weird as that might sound.
Yeah, I remember the direction of that scene. That after that, you really nailed it. Was treat this scene like a breakup. And
yeah, that was a great.
What it is in the script.
Yeah, that was fantastic direction. I remember that too. Yeah, treat this like a breakup.
So this
scene.
location, man. Oh, this location. We got to talk about this. This location fucking makes the movie, dude. Yeah. I remember I was so elated after we shot this. We shot this all night till the sun came up. One of our location managers called this huge guy who owns a bunch of junkyards in Syracuse, New York. And this guy let us shoot in this super dangerous junkyard for free. So we brought all these extras in here with all these weapons. And this just like brings the movie to a 11. Because this scene just really like... Well, in the script, I think it was supposed to be like a... It was supposed to feel like a gladiator ring filled with like trash, and we couldn't find a better location than this. So great way to introduce our main bad guy, Ulrich von Kunst.
Yep.
This actor, by the way, was
fantastic.
Brandon Despain, dude, incredible actor. He's actually a SAG actor. He waived his SAG fee just because he wanted to work on this. He was in All Hallows Eve. He played the zombie or something, but he's in a bunch of things and great actor. And I think he was a little intimidated by George, as we all were.
He definitely was. Had some questions about George, but ultimately really enjoyed working with him, I think.
So we're about 54 minutes in, by the way.
Yep.
Not everyone can crush bones with a single punch.
Well, I love they can fight me with their fists like men. Yes, of course.
Looks like Nathan jumped in. Thanks for joining, Nathan. Dustin mentioned you guys are absolute savages. Here's the thing with this movie. We got to do whatever we can to finish the movie. If that means breaking us, Poltergeist TV.
Yeah.
We got to do it. Or breaking the law. We got to do it.
I will say people
By the way,
say,
Blind Cop was mean to Schmitty, so I'm going to drink to that. Because that's
what the
illegal.
Hell? Seriously. Well, also, he's breaking and entering. He can't go. That's private property, that junkyard.
It's a double drink.
Hmm.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie that we try to. That's why we actually weren't sure it would work until we did a test screening in New York back in November. Scenes like this, where we try to tell things visually with no dialogue. Another scene was the poker chip scene. So I'm really happy that we stuck to our guns and told some
We
scenes
were
on
worried
time.
initially that, is the story confusing? Does it not make sense? And just because we had been editing it for a billion years and we're worried, as soon as we started test screening it, people were like, what do you mean? It doesn't, yeah, it's simple. It's straightforward. What do you think we're stupid?
They're like, what are you talking about? This is the most simple movie ever. Funny little bit with them. They put the hood on Blind Cop. They take his hood off. He still has sunglasses on. People laugh at that. Also, he doesn't even need a hood on. He can't.
That's what I'm saying. I love the idea of that. It's completely arbitrary to throw a hood on him. It's fucking great. Steven does great here. Steven Vogel, great scene here with him and George.
Steven does do great. Yeah, it's great. So Mac this is the big reveal. Mac is the motorcycle guy. Mac betrayed Blind Cop.
Very, very 80s. I mean, quintessential 80s, twist and turn reveal. The partner faked his death. He was around the whole time. He's the bad guys. Yeah. Very, very tropey, but we think it worked pretty well.
To us, it's so obvious, but it's so fun watching it with audiences where people go like, "What?"
You go, oh!
Yeah. And also with this scene, I'm not gonna spoil it, but when it gets to a tender moment, we get some fun reactions too. Yeah, fucking Mac fucking killed it, dude. I actually met Steven Vogel, who plays Mac. He's in LA. I met him in LA my freshman summer when I went out there to feel out LA and feel what it would be like as a production assistant out there. And that's when I first. Oh, we're crying. We got a drink.
Drink. Also, I gotta grab a beer. I'll be right back. Give me 10 seconds. One more beer.
Yeah, please. But I met Steven Vogel out in LA when I was actually writing the first draft of Blind Cop. This was in 2017, I believe. Maybe 2016. So it's funny that he was there while I was writing it, and I ended up working with him, and I love him as this character. He really kills it. I've heard people say he has a Lou Diamond Phillips, is that the actor's name, type of look. So it's a cool reference. This movie, it's 48 hours. It's Rambo. It's oddly Winter Soldier somehow. Hey, thank you for that. Rambo is a huge inspiration. We actually watched Rambo First Blood Part 2 in prep for this movie. I showed the crew Rambo First Blood Part 2 because the whole ending is hilarious because he's trying to save 3 people by blowing up a whole village of innocent people. So we thought that was a cool reference point. And that was a movie that I grew up on, Rambo First Blood Part 2. For some reason, I was attracted to twos. Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rocky Part 2. I love those movies, so that's also part of the origin. You make me feel 1,000 years old. When you say Lou Diamond Phillips, yeah. He's great,
Yeah.
That's such the Cobra fucking poster is incredible. Poster. So that's another fun moment in theaters when Blind Cop admits that he had his love for Mac. We've been in showings where people go, "Aww," and it's that to me is the most incredible response because you're like, "Oh, someone's connecting to our movie." They're not just laughing, which we love the laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's part of what I really appreciate, and I think we really tried to bring out in this project is, of course, it's funny, it's silly, it's over the top, but I mean, the emotionality to us is very real in there. There's a level of sincerity. We're not just mocking all of the content. We're not mocking the story and the characters, and it's Blind Cop truly does love Mac, and it's obviously some of that could be a little funny, but it's at the end of the day, it's not funny innately. And I love how dramatically they play this scene. It really is very authentic.
Even on a deeper level too, it's a goofy comedy, but on set we were very serious and we had so much emotion. We had days where we had to break down and cry because we were putting everything in this movie, and we still have so much attachment to the movie. So we wanted to stop at nothing to make our quintessential 80s action movie, and I'm proud of what we did. I mean, I really feel like we couldn't have done better with our resources. So,
and I think something that comes up a lot is
if you zoom out a little bit, it's literally like a dinky camera on a tripod and duct tape everywhere. So, oops, the shot. Yeah, you're right. He just killed somebody. Is that illegal? Do we have to take a shot for that?
Blind Cop didn't do it. That was Mac.
Oh, well, I drank anyways.
Okay, well, I'll drink in solidarity.
You guys drank every time you broke the law. We would be probably dead.
I think we'd be, unfortunately, we'd be passed out by now. We broke the law in this warehouse, in this location. We were technically breaking the law a few times to get some of this stuff. So
Yeah, we kind of got kicked out of this location, but that's okay.
We kind of did get kicked out.
Yeah, I mean, we had permission to be there, but they were mad because we got blood everywhere. And then this was part of our 2019 shoot, and we had to shoot the final part, which comes later in 2021. But this was a fun location. This part was like a sawmill that was in there, but the rest of it was this pizza factory. And the workers kept telling us how haunted this place was. And we're like, it's haunted? Okay. We'd start laughing, and their face would drop, and they're like, it's seriously haunted.
Oh yeah, no, they were very serious
around,
about it.
and she literally drags people across the build, like people that worked there will get dragged across the room. So we're like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna shoot our movie.
The warehouse was
I remember there was one moment. There was
yeah.
one creepy moment. You might remember this, Isaac, where someone heard a weird scream. Maybe it was Blind Cop screaming. That was what they heard. But yeah, there's a moment someone heard a weird scream in the. Okay, that's a fun little bit there.
That's Roberto again. That's Roberto, the stunt coordinator, once again getting taken out.
Technically illegal. You shouldn't open doors that way.
Oh well, no, yeah. I mean, it's kicking the door open. He did just he did just kill a man because even if he didn't kill him directly right there, he definitely dies in the fire. So that's a murder.
In the script, we say he snapped his spine, so he's at least he's injured. Okay, here's a crazy moment.
Oh,
legal filmmaking moment. We're about 1 hour, 1 minute in, 20 seconds. When Blind Cop hits that glass up there and it falls and cuts his leg, that's real. That's not scripted.
Yep.
George actually cut his leg.
George smashed that pane of glass, and the glass fell and sliced his leg open. Yeah.
So we
took him to the hospital immediately.
We took him to the ER. It cost a lot of money. They glued his leg shut, and he came back. He's like, "Let's keep shooting." And
the scene right here that you're watching right now, when he's holding his leg has been freshly glued shut. That's why it's part of why he's holding the cloth on it. And he finished the scene. He was like, "No, we're finishing it. We're finishing this shot." And he was set on it. So there he is with his leg freshly glued shut.
Dustin said, "Is this like the scene with Leo and Django?" It's exactly like that scene, but George kept going, so it's better.
Yeah. I would say it was significantly of a worse wound because it wasn't like a little wound on his hand. Like he sliced his fucking leg open.
Yeah, he sliced his thigh open.
Yeah.
Very close to his private parts. So luckily, he still got that.
Still got everything going on down there. I love just like the ash that's rubbed on me and George here. Just like rubbed around.
The ash, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was shot 2 years before we even shot the building burning scenes. We're like, we'll just cut together. We'll see. This is a nice little character moment.
Which of course leads to one of my favorite lines in the movie.
And he lets Schmitty drive.
Let's save you. We saved the city, Schmitty. Come on,
he's giving him the keys to the movie.
The keys to the story.
Pieces together nicely. Thank you, Noah. This was the scene that we got pulled over for, and the cop gave us flares.
Which is extra funny because, of course, it's the scene where George is sitting in the car covered in ash in his underwear. Looking like
he's in his underwear.
Like,
yeah. The cop's
like, what's going on here?
Little iconic moment. Blind Cop switches outfits. Kind of fun.
Yep. And also, this is foreshadowed earlier because Schmitty has this bulletproof vest sitting in his room.
Sitting in his room. Where did it come from? Don't ask us that question. Where does car come from? Don't ask.
The car came from his uncle. It was inheritance, but
his uncle, yes. That's true.
I mean, I've got all that where he got. That was all character work, man. I know all that stuff. Come on. Our little, I love this. I love that Schmitty's is just like trying to imitate his movements as much. It's just so silly. It's like Monty Python shit.
It's really fun. Plus, got to shout out the score.
Oh, of course. And this is the one that gets stuck in my head so often.
So this is when we're in Atlanta. So this is the big shoot 2 years later.
Yeah, so years later.
Ending. And yeah, Noah said it looks like Last of Us. There's just a random fucking like huge satellite in the back, and we always joked it's like our Star Wars shot. So we threw this like light panel there.
Mm-hmm. Well, the funny thing is, our highest production value thing here is it's just a satellite that was there at the location, and then we like smacked like a little box of lights on it to make it look kind of more like. Yeah, but it looks great. And the funny thing is, it looks pretty cool. But if you look right here, that little series of lights, that's just like a little box we put on a satellite.
And the guy gets his neck slapped. or his neck cracked. That's actually our first AC. So yeah, we just threw our crew in as extras. So it worked out.
Yeah.
It's a fun little moment here. This is we joke this is when we learned that we could move the camera. So we started doing a lot of we learned a lot making this movie because we did literally start as almost kids. So
yeah.
Yeah. Here's a shot of Noah.
There's Noah Townsend. There he goes. He's the tall goon, you know. Let's go.
I don't know where Candy got that emoji from. That's insane. Like a melting face.
Also, did we drink for him breaking the guy's neck? I forgot I need to drink. That was super illegal.
Oh, you're right. We got to drink for that. That's really illegal. Don't do that. Let's fucking boogie, says Candy. You're so right.
Yes.
Funny thing about Let's Boogie. Let's talk about Let's Boogie. That was a little bit of contention between me and George.
That was the one line he wouldn't fucking say.
He wouldn't say. He had his Russell Crowe moment from Gladiator. Oh, Augie just joined.
Yeah. Oh, director of photography. Here we go. It's one of your best moments here, making me look great.
Sorry about being late.
No worries, dude. You just have to take you have to drink 3 beers right now. But
yeah, you gotta catch up.
We're talking about this Let's Boogie line. So he first says it in the club fight scene. I remember I got into a little bit of an argument with George because he wouldn't do it. He's like, that line's so silly. And we're like, dude, the movie's called Blind Cop. Say Let's Boogie. And
he was like, I don't like it. It's stupid.
He's like, it's too goofy. But finally, I was like, do one for you, do one for me. And he did it, and he loved it. And he was like, you know what? He told me a great story. He's like, Russell Crowe didn't want to say, are you entertaining Gladiator? It's the best line. So he likened it to that. So we stuck with Let's Boogie, and I'm happy we did.
Here we go. The start of the most chaotic scene in the movie. It's all just fucking nuts for me. Again, we gotta drink. We gotta drink to that. He just fucking murdered someone. So
he just murdered somebody that's messed up, even though it was a blind cop. So, well, I guess he shot him. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this dust hit. That's a real dust hit. Luckily,
that's out of a physical paintball gun. That's a dust hit that we fired on the wall when I came around the corner. So that was a real projectile hitting the wall, not digital.
Also, real blank gun by George. He brought this blank gun.
Yep.
There's another death by Roberto.
Is Roberto dying again? Also, that's 2 murders. That's 2 drinks.
2 drinks, 3 drinks. He's murdering people.
Oh God, 4 drinks.
Here's Noah. Look at this.
There's Noah Townsend. Noah Townsend. Here he goes. He gets hit in the dick with the gun. Here we go. Oh yeah.
Man, I got fucked.
You get hurt in this scene, bud. You get hurt in this scene. And you also had to get hit with that rubber gun. George actually did throw a rubber gun at Noah to do that scene.
Also,
and for some reason, we could never get it on the first take.
Yeah.
It took like 9 takes.
Yeah. So what were we saying, Augie?
I was just gonna say, like, we had the take of him saying, like, I just did it for the money, and then we were like, oh, like. We shot it later, remember, and the floor was all wet, and then we ended up using like a rehearsal take for the actual movie, which worked fine.
Yeah, because the floor was like full of water when we got there.
That one scene, which looks so simple, took us 2 days. So there's actually like between days, there's like water and blood all over the floor, so we had to like use a rehearsal.
It's a very messy shoot, to say the least. Crucial scene here. Crucial scene. Finally, Schmitty, who's someone who's never been provoked to violence in his life, finally seeing his idol shot down in front of him, realizing it's his fault. All of his repressed rage and anger starts to bubble to the surface. And finally, he's being driven towards some kind of physical act of violence, some physical act of self-defense. Love this fucking scene. Oh my God. That scream. Ah.
Has Isaac just been doing the Schwarzenegger commentary where he just describes what's happening on screen?
No, believe it or not, Augie, that's the first time I've done that. I'm not even joking.
We always joke that's the whale shot of the guy coming down and blowing air up. But yeah. This was one scene when we played in Fanespo in Brazil, which is one of the biggest genre fests in Latin America. Everyone cheered for this scene because they're all perverts out there in the best way possible. They love blood. They're like, yeah. So that was really
that guy's throat open. Woo.
Love the shot. Obviously a Predator.
Of
course. There. We didn't do it as well as Predator did, but whatever.
I mean, the only problem with our shot is that the arms aren't as the biceps aren't as big.
Yeah, I tried to. Hey, I worked out really hard for this movie. I was like 125 pounds, man. Like I had to put on a lot of muscle for this movie. Tried.
Well, it wasn't good enough.
Okay, this is gonna be a lot of drinks. Okay, 1, 2.
Yeah,
Every
oh,
murder's
shit.
got to
Oh,
be a
drink
drink,
here.
unfortunately. Oh God. Okay.
A lot of references in this scene. Terminator, of course. Literally, the music's a reference. All shots are a reference. There's some They Live references in there. Close up to the gun.
This was all
You're seeing how this
ADR,
sausage is
already
made.
ADR stuff in here.
There's if you guys remember,
Here's my
John
dad. There's my
Farina
dad
was
dying.
he got headshot in the first part of that scene.
Yep.
As you see, Roberto also got headshotted. He literally falls face first down a stairway. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. We had a crash pad there, but he's so good with the stunts. He did that stair fall multiple times. Yeah.
Well, we had the crash pad there, and then like, yeah, you and George like awkwardly shimmy along the side. And George was like, "I can't take my cane out with this shit," and it's like, bro, George, like Roberto needs the crash pad. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
He's like Roberto, can you just throw yourself down the stairs? I can't open my cane. It's ruining my character.
That was fun watching this with Augie because Augie, you always laugh at funny moments like when Blanca brings the gun up immediately. I always hear you laughing at that moment.
At which moment?
When they walk into the room and Blanca just doesn't say anything and brings up his gun immediately.
Oh yeah.
Judge, jury, and executioner, man.
All right, we're about an hour, 11 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Here we go. That hurt. That hurt a lot. That hurt even more. Sorry, I don't want to just being honest.
So
and here's me and Noah
right
Townsend, who's in the chat as well. This is our big scene.
He got massive fucking muscles. I think that was at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh
He's a big guy. Shouts out to Noah's physique. He's a powerful man.
Stop. You're just saying that.
No, dude, I mean it. That shit hurt, dude.
So we actually had to punch the shot of Blind Cop in a little bit because originally we shot a little wider, and I forgot that George had his Jordan shoes on. So that's a fun.
Also, I mean, a little earlier, we shot the scene in Coonslayer years before the shootout and years before the Schmitty baptism. So we didn't know that Schmitty would have his face covered in blood in that wide established.
That's like a mask we put on. So, it's just like a little like orange circle.
One digital.
It had like a little red power window that honestly works like a charm. Like
people don't seem to notice. So.
And hopefully, I don't want to point this out. Hopefully, it doesn't. People don't notice, but we didn't have a script suit, so we didn't even know if shit would cut together. And we were like idiot adolescents doing this to the best of our ability, and it cut together.
I will say though, I love this scene. This is my favorite section of the whole film. Is this interspersed between Blancop and Coons and Schmitty and the Titan? How it cuts together. It feels like a real fucking 80s action movie, and I don't know how we managed to pull it off, but we did.
Great cutting back and forth. This scene always reminds me of Denver because we all went to Denver in 2022 in January to do our first like big edit. This was one of the scenes. This was one of the main scenes we worked on. So that was an incredible moment. I'm going to remember forever. Is getting super hot in Denver. Editing this movie.
Editing this movie for 12 hours a day for a week.
Yeah.
Paperclip coming back. Here we go. Paperclip to the eye. Come on. Paperclip.
I feel like the big
such a great scene.
Yes. Oh, here we go.
Cutting of Schmitty and the Titan, and then like Blind Cop and Coons was just like getting them to match because again, like we did shoot them literally 2 years apart, and it's like.
This is my favorite scene to shoot in the entire film. I was having like a real fucking break. We had to get it in one take, and I'm just having like an absolute fucking mental breakdown, screaming straight. Yeah, very fun.
Incredible scene. Isaac did it all in one take. I'm down there with the blood squib. If you look in the background, the blood's there's so much like energy or whatever, like pressure in that the blood hitting the back of the wall and spraying over Isaac.
It's like way overshooting my. Yeah, that's just how hard I'm hitting it.
Really good. Like you hit the squib like right at the right time.
You did really well.
That's the thing. I couldn't trust anyone else doing it because I know we had one take. I was like,
yeah, respect.
There's a couple times George or Blind Cop has a gun pointed at him, and the person just awkwardly waits there, and
That's
Not gonna
part of the
knock on
genre. That's part
part
of
of the
the course.
genre.
Of course, the villain has to reveal his 10-minute monologue master plan. Come on. I've got a sick combo here, an important combination.
Schmitty has been activated. Schmitty's the activated man.
The activated boy, even.
So that moment, that was such a fun moment to film.
You got a drink there, by the way. That is illegal to impale someone.
Drink.
So.
You just killed somebody.
Drink.
It was a fun moment. We were like not 100% sure how we were going to do this, and then we're like, it's funny how it worked since we were, I don't want to say ignorant or amateurish, but we didn't know 100% what to do. So we're like, let's do a whip pan. It's like the most basic thing, and it worked really well.
The funny thing is, people multiple times have been like, "That looks so good. How did you do that? Like, what was that effect?" And we're like, "It was just a whip pan."
It's
like
a whip pan, and it's
Jesus.
Brandon holding the cane under his arm.
This shit is. Yeah.
Oh, he just killed somebody. That's not.
Yeah, that's super illegal. He was begging for his life. That's Oh.
When all else fails, whip pan. You're right. We actually had 2 whip pans too, so it actually worked well because we had one earlier when he catches the dart.
Oh yeah.
Schmitty shoots. So. If we want to dissect this movie, this is what's fun, playing with color theory a little bit. Blind Cop starts the movie as red. Schmitty starts the movie as white with some light greens. He becomes a darker green as he progresses and gets closer to Blind Cop. And by the end, he's literally covered in red, Blind Cop's color. And you see he almost throws up by the end of the movie. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of funny.
It sounds like something we're making up, but that actually was very deliberate. We talked about changing the color palette of Schmitty's outfit and then eventually having him be blood-soaked. And matching the Blind Cop colors.
Mine.
Yeah.
This is over like 5 years of filming, so it's just crazy that it kind of all worked out. So,
well, I feel like red and green were our like guiding lights. Like obviously the whole movie isn't red and green, but like those were 2 key colors in the color theory of the movie for sure. Not even just with those 2 characters, but in other scenes as well.
Mad Max Fury Road. I love Mad Max. Mad Max Road Warrior is like a child.
Fury Road and Furiosa are, I mean, I love them all, but I'd say Fury Road's one of my favorite films of like all time. One of the best action movies ever made.
Yeah. So this is an interesting scene, and I think sometimes it leaves people with an interesting emotion leaving the movie because I guess you end on a bit of a somber note. We always said this is like the closing of the curtain of the scene. The characters leave and we start to hear the inner monologue of our main character and how maybe he's not the good guy we thought he was. And I think this gives people some interesting reactions watching the movie because they're like, wasn't all fun. Maybe the carnage they left behind.
Maybe there were consequences to the fun.
So we've noticed that sometimes we get some interesting reactions here. But all I got to say is George's triceps look huge here. So
they do look gigantic. I will say this is the scene I think makes people the most uncomfortable, which is absolutely by design, of course. I think that the end of the film definitely takes a bit of a tonal shift, which was very deliberate here. So I'm glad that it generates generates reactions. People feel things from it, which is nice.
And a lot of this was actually burst of inspiration from Isaac, like the night before. So
this was This was actually me waking up the morning of, and we were trying to figure out what the fuck to do with the ending. And I had this weird, like, fever dream burst of inspiration. I wrote this ending the morning of, and we had like a meeting of the round table. I was like, "What do you guys think of this?" We liked it. We greenlit it, and then me and George shot it that night. George just
like for the principal photography that we did in 2019. We did shoot unending. It sucked. But like literally from the beginning of the script, like we had the ending that we shot in principal photography, but like in between that period and like the pickups in 2021, like we just knew that we needed a different ending and we were really struggling on that literally until the last day.
Yeah.
Like until we had to shoot it. So I'm glad we cooked something up. And I still have the note. Isaac, you wrote the scene in my notes app on my computer.
I did. I was like, "Can I have your laptop, please?" I wrote it in your fucking notes app.
And kudos to George and Isaac because they had to memorize fucking monologues of dialogue. the nights before, and
Kind of, especially
Yeah,
George,
they-
of
they
course.
fucking-
Well, because I was thinking at the end of the day, it's really important, but it's like Schmitty's arc at the end. Schmitty's the one that changes, but this scene is really Blind Cop's scene to.
It's ethos.
It's his ethos. It's him explaining why he does what he does and why he thinks Schmitty should be more like him, which really ties into the theme of the entire film. Very fun.
Fun,
Oddly enough, yeah.
little fun trivia here. So when it cuts to the dead henchman on the ground, that's actually Isaac.
That is actually
on the
me,
ground.
which
So
was
so our metaphor
also.
here is
I
this
also
is the
voiced that henchman.
Our metaphor here is this is the henchman Schmitty. So they killed the criminal's version of Schmitty. So it's almost like
We talked about this, right? It's the idea that Schmitty has this kind of or the Blind Cup has this care for Schmitty by the end. Maybe it's kind of perverse and warped, but he does care about him now. But the idea was, he kills this young henchman like nothing. This person begs for their life. They're not a threat. He kills them. And our idea was kind of like, well, this easily could have been Schmitty, right? Schmitty was an orphan. He happened to idealize the hero instead of end up with the villain. But at the end of the day, it could have just as likely been him. And the idea was, if that was Schmitty, Blind Cup would have fucking killed him like nothing. And so the ending is kind of like alluding to the fact that, Schmitty just happens to end up with Blind Cop on the heroic side, but it's like, is he really the hero? With all of his wanton murder and destruction.
The one analogy I always put is like post 9/11 America, where it's like you want revenge so much and you're the good guy that in your revenge to stop the bad guys, you become a much worse bad guy by a bunch of people. So those are some fun things. But one funny joke I really like about that last scene is the moment where George goes, "I saw some damn fine police work out of you tonight, kid." And it cuts to Schmitty, and his face is just covered in blood. And he just maniacally laughs, and that always gets some fun laughs in theaters.
Well, I think my favorite one might always. I do love that one. I think that one's great. I also think when he gives his he's doing his monologue about his ideas of violence and vigilantism, and how he's going to take as many of these animals with him as he can, and then he says, "That's why I became a cop." And I feel like that always hits people on ooh,
It's iconic, and also. George brings his sunglasses up. The light perfectly hits his eyes. That's why I became a cop. Iconic moment by George.
Iconic.
So this was such a fun movie to make, and we're just so happy we can share it with the Chattanooga Film Fest audience, and we're happy that a lot of you guys connected with it. So thank you so much for joining, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching it. Watch Party. Absolutely.
Thank you for joining. Thank you all for those of you who have left Letterboxd reviews, good, bad, or indifferent. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. It really does help our movie. It really does. Yeah. And also, if you guys feel inclined to vote, it really helps our movie. If you want to vote for us, if you don't, we totally understand. Also, I got to shout out Dustin, Chris, everyone at the Chattanooga Film Fest.
Absolutely.
You guys are incredible. You
Staff fucking rules. You guys are the best. Yeah.
Together such an incredible event, and you guys made us feel like such at home and connected us with great audience members. So thank you guys. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, just good. Not enough nice things I could say about you guys. Really made us feel welcome. Facilitated such an incredible environment. The energy you guys brought to the table. The effort you guys obviously put in. And we've been to a lot of film festivals now. So it's even more obvious how much you guys really try, because it's not always like that. I hope that everyone understands that's not the default. The people at CFF really give a shit and really try, and we that means so much to us.
Also,
and I got to mention, sorry.
I was just going to say, I obviously wasn't able to go to the film festival in person, but Alec and Isaac just said how great of a time they had, and I just wanted to say that I really appreciate that there is a film festival that is not as supportive of AI, and that's exciting. There wasn't a single pixel of AI generated imagery in our movie, and I'm really proud of that. And
it was all real human blood, sweat, and tears. Holy shit, this was the hardest thing we've ever done in our fucking life. Please.
And because of this, and because of getting into a festival like this, we feel more emboldened to move on and make even more raw human-made things with human fingerprints all over it, because we love that shit. We love the stuff from the 80s, the practical effects. So fuck AI. Also, I also have to acknowledge, dude, the great movies that Chattanooga was able to bring to the festival. It's not true with
Incredible
every festival,
program.
but this festival, every movie was a banger, dude. Like it was insane, the quality of the movie. So to be included in a running of movies like this is like the highest honor. So
Absolutely.
yeah.